Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. On the news this hour, war of words over President Muhammadu Buhari's 10-day private trip to the United Kingdom. It continues as dust from the contention over the legality of the visit refuses to settle. The race for the Senate leadership of the 9th Assembly is still underway, with factions realigning in a delicate power alliance amongst tough contenders. Anxiety mounts over delay in passage of the 2019 budget as Labour leaders fear bottlenecks on implementation of the new national minimum wage. Welcome everyone to the program. We begin with President Muhammadu Buhari, who is away in the United Kingdom on a private visit, but the appropriateness of his trip is being questioned by the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP. The party's deputy national chairman for the South questions why the president would travel without transmitting a letter to the National Assembly handing power to the vice president. Mr. Akinwumi, who was on our political program, Sunday Politics, also wondered why President Buhari would travel at a time the nation is beset with multiple security challenges.
We know that in any country, any sovereign entity like Nigeria, that if the president is, for any reason or the other, leaving the country, he must transmit power to the deputy, through via the National Assembly, which has not been done. Now that the question you have rightly said, is power transferred, delegated to the vice president now? If it is yes, is it done in secrecy? Or should we not know? Shouldn't we hear? Whom are we going to hold responsible now? How do we relate to the vice president? Are we relating to him today as the vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or as the acting president of the nation? The government is set, communicate with the truth. The military says, communicate with the truth. If you follow the narration from the sequence of the event up to today, we were told of the Boko Haram in the Northwest before this administration. A little into the administration, we were told that the Sambisa, which housed the Boko Haram, has been dismantled, that the Boko Haram has been suppressed, and the 6 local government that are under the control of the Boko Haram has been recovered.
Right.
But today you find that the population of the IDP is increasing on a daily basis. The population of the IDPs, we have IDPs in Abuja, we have in Maiduguri, we have in Yola and other formations. The population is increasing. If it is true that the Boko Haram have been suppressed and the Sambisa disbanded, why don't the IDPs go back to their villages?
Well, following that controversy trailing the president's private trip to the United Kingdom, the presidency is insisting that President Muhammadu Buhari has not gone against the constitution, as the law is only infringed upon when such absence exceeds 21 days. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, argued that the president can discharge his duties from any part of the world within the time limit permitted by law. He also outlined some of the president's engagements while in the United Kingdom. Mr. Shehu was also speaking on Sunday Politics.
The president didn't make a mistake by taking off without writing a letter to the National Assembly because it was unnecessary. The Constitution says in the 21 days is the mark-off point. That is where an infringement is caused. But as it is now, there is absolutely no constitutional or legal infraction that has happened. So the president is doing his work from wherever he is. And yes, it is right that we have said the president can operate from wherever he is. Because if you are a permanent secretary in one of the ministries and the president calls you from Abidjan and says, you go and repair that road, are you going to tell him that, Mr. President, you are not in Nigeria, you're in Abidjan, you are not going to do this work? Do you think you will have your job waiting for you? There is absolutely no secrecy surrounding this because in the last 3 days of the president's being in the United Kingdom, we are in touch with him. We are aware 2 days ago He had met with the Foreign Affairs Minister, had dispatched him on engagements on the West African coast. Yesterday, he was in touch and watching over incidents happening in Gombe and other places in the country. The president is in charge.
Well, another story that is gathering dust is also the race for the presidency of the 9th Senate, as that intensifies, and also the speakership. Well, there are indications of a possible meeting of a consensus candidate for the Senate leadership and on the need for them to work together. The plan, according to a close source, is to checkmate moves by the opposing People's Democratic Party to determine the leadership of the Senate that is billed for inauguration in June. Well, according to calculations by political analysts, the PDP with 43 senators is likely to vote en bloc and is using its strategic number to negotiate with agreeable candidates from the All Progressives Congress. Apart from bidding for Deputy Senate President, the main opposition party is also negotiating for the chairmanship of strategic committees of the Senate. With a division in the ranks of the APC, senators-elect to the coast appears clear for the PDP to have its way with its 43 seats in the upper legislative chamber. Well, the APC had earlier endorsed Senator Ahmed Lawan and Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila for both the Senate and the House of Representatives speakership. Meanwhile, Senator Ali Ndume, former Senate leader who chairs the Senate Committee on Establishment, had last month made public his intention to vie for President of Senate when the 9th National Assembly is inaugurated in June. We also know that Senator Danjuma Goje, who is chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, has not yet made public his intention. Well, as the power play over the move for the National Assembly leadership continues, and with the dust over the legality of the president's private trip to the United Kingdom, let's now join our guest who joins us from Abuja. He is the Deputy National Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, Jeff Ojinika. We'd like to thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good to see you today. And ask straight away, many people have opined, the opinion of one lawyer, for example, was that private visit is not in our constitution. What do you make of the president's private trip? Is it recognized by law?
Well, the concept of a private visit is an aberration. It's something that is alien. A visit is visit. We can't really differentiate between a private visit and an official visit. The president is still traveled with our Air Force One, and we still have the paraphernalia of office wherever he is. So, and we believe that he wouldn't have lost anything by, strictly adhering to the provisions of the Constitution. He has always done that in the past. I don't know why this visit now is quite different from the previous ones.
Even a defense, they're saying only when it exceeds 21 days that it becomes a constitutional problem. But in this case, it hasn't. So why is it causing a lot of ruckus?
For a country like ours that are facing a lot of insurgency with all the problems, virtually all the states are affected with one form of insecurity or the other. And it will require having an acting president or a president who is absolutely in charge that can give directives within. We're not supposed to have any lacuna at all. So the condition we find ourselves now is the type that if the president is even traveling for 1 hour, such letters should be conveyed, because we're in a state of insecurity in our country. And the president is the commander-in-chief. So we expect that the 21 days, more or less, is there in terms of violating the Constitution. But this one is for efficiency, to make sure that there is no lacuna in governance at all.
Well, some people are saying perhaps if it was another country rather than the United Kingdom, maybe this wouldn't be an issue. But let's get your thoughts with this. If it becomes a tradition that when the president travels, it's an issue, what can they do in future? Even if it's 5 days, less than 10 days, what can the presidency do in future to prevent this from becoming a debate?
You know, and more so, if it were to be another country, as you said, it would be, that apprehension may not be there. Knowing fully well that the president traveled the last time, it was 6 months, and it was a very big issue. So if he's traveling to the same country again, the tendency for people to be apprehensive that it might move from 10 days to 20 days or more is likely there. So, but all the same, what we actually want for now is that at any point in time, somebody must be absolutely in charge in the country because of the condition that we find ourselves now. We have security issues virtually in all local governments in this country. Issue of kidnap, issue of herdsmen, issue of asking for ransom. Yesterday it was in Rivers, foreigners. The other day it was in Kaduna, and almost every hour. So, and it really requires the commander-in-chief to be up and doing. So the commander-in-chief ought not to leave this country the way it is now. And if he's leaving the country, it should be totally handed over to someone who will be in charge 24 hours.
Let's quickly shift to the National Assembly. A couple of names coming up for, you know, principal officers, President of Senate, and then the speakership of the House of Representatives. Do you think that with all of this, there is some sort of healthy competition, or there just might be a repeat of what happened at the beginning of the 8th Assembly?
I think the development in the National Assembly is a very interesting one. Competition brings out the best. So I think what people are trying to resist there is a situation where you have imposition. Even if you have the best candidate being imposed on the people, they will still want to resist it. Not because the person is not good, but because of imposition. So the best thing is to allow the system to play itself, let the members from among themselves, which elect whoever will be the Senate President or whoever will be the Speaker, in line with their Constitution. The Constitution said that they should, from among themselves, elect one of them. And it's just the person so being elected, we know that he's there at the convenience of his colleagues, and that they are colleagues, and that he's never a boss. I think that's the important fact that members want to establish. That whoever is the Senate President is not the Senate President because he's the best, but because his colleagues want him to preside over. And he still remains their colleagues. And he's also there at their will, because at any time they want to remove him, they will be able to remove him. So he will be there to satisfy Nigerians and satisfy the interest of the members of the National Assembly. So I think that's just the point that they want to stress. And,
I must ask you, finally,
that we should...
The possibility of the contenders now adopting a consensus candidate. Do you think we'll ever see that?
Well, consensus is part of politics. Nobody discourages consensus. If you can have consensus, good. But where you don't have consensus, then you allow the people to decide. But what I think people are resisting is resisting imposition. And we will not want imposition at the National Assembly, because the National Assembly is a symbol of democracy, is a symbol of democracy in any country. The parliament is almost like the parliament of the people. So the people decide, and that's the last hope. So if you enthrone autocracy there, if you enthrone dictatorship there, then democracy is gone. So I think that's just what the people are saying. Anybody that must be a Senate President must be one of the senators. An outsider cannot go there to preside over the National Assembly. It must be one of them. It must be one of the 109 or one of the 360, and nothing more. So from among themselves, let them elect whoever they think will represent the interests of this country and best represent the National Assembly.
Indeed, the best interests of the country. We'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Jeff Ojenikau, for joining us on the program. Let's quickly go for a short break. When we return, May 1st is around the corner. We'll be talking about the national minimum wage. Join us again.